Good morning, Maurice, and welcome to Things Invest. Talk about investing, finance, professional development. For today's video, terms only. Investment I'm going to talk about today will be Ethereum ticker ETH. First, I want to say happy Friday, everybody. We are almost there through the week. With respect to us, I'm recording us of 9:48 a.m. on the Eastern Time. Current trade like the $2,076 level, about 0.76%. And as I was reading the news collectively speaking this morning, I spent about like 45 minutes to an hour in the morning while I have my cup of coffee just to read through the news on what's percolating today, right? And I will say, with respect to my high-level read so far, it's definitely leaning more to a positive spectrum, right? A lot of reinforcing and regurgitating old news that lean more positive, but also some new news that have percolated ahead of time as well. And with respect to the positive news, the ones that really stood out are obviously the reinforcements on the B-Word Summit that we've heard from Cathie Wood, Elon Musk, and obviously Jack Dorsey, and even Steve himself, the moderator, that, reinforcing on Elon Musk on his value proposition for Ethereum, for Bitcoin, and for Dogecoin as well, for long-term whole perspective, right? He says specifically that he plans on not dumping, and he's not maybe even plan on pumping going forward, that he's a long-term holder, which obviously gives a lot of gravitas and confidence to investors. And so is a comparable affectation from Cathie Wood herself. And also we got another news today, and this is more again a reinforcement news, coming from JP Morgan again, right? With respect to its stamp of approval by allowing its wealth management arm of the bank, to allow clients to trade on 5 key specific crypto trusts going forward, right? And these ones I'm just to name the 5. One is the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, which is the ticker GBTC. The next one is the Grayscale Bitcoin Cash Trust, BCHG. Ethereum Trust, ETHE. Ethereum Classic Trust, ETCG. Osprey Bitcoin Trust, OBTC. So obviously JP Morgan giving the stamp of approval for these specific crypto assets, obviously it's not directly allowing its clients to be investing into crypto assets, but these are trusts that obviously have the direct correlations to the respective crypto assets that it's tied to, right? So obviously a lot of stamp of approval. So 2 positive news so far, right? And also with respect to the anti-collision effect, we have heard from, and this is an unfortunate one, and I don't know how true that is with respect to the chip shortage that we're experiencing in this whole tech sector, the semiconducting sector, and obviously the EV sector, right? It seems like the durations for the chip shortage can potentially durate until 2023, which obviously can crash down, the EV stocks, which is the reason why NEO today is down about like 6% at one time, which is obviously pretty scary stuff, right? But we are hovering around the resistance level, the $43 level, which is a great level of dollar cost average. So I plan on actually maybe buying a little bit more NEO today, despite obviously the negative affectation we're experiencing, right? And also we got some negative news as well, and I would say this is more adjustables news, comparing Solana, Cardano versus Ethereum, right? And one of those articles that comes up from like Cointelegraph or Decrypt, right? Those questionable type of media affectation companies, right? So another just kind of fluff, we don't have to be completely, we read it, but obviously we'll take it with a grain of salt, right? And another news that we got was with respect to Thorchain, which suffers another cyber attack. And this time, instead of losing 5 million, which occurred about like a month ago, now it's being hacked to lose about 8 million this time. So obviously, with respect to cyber security, cyber attack is another question, another areas of improvement for crypto assets going forward. So something we have to watch out. But obviously, this is just another reinforcement. Negative news outweighs with the positive news that we've had so far, right? So I'm going to go through technical analysis, knowing the fact that with respect to FOMC meetings happening on the 28th, and the weekend affectation we should be expecting going forward. Obviously, today's a Friday, which the affectations should happen sometimes around like 1:30 p.m. on Eastern Time, the rates all the way until like 4:30 or 5 p.m. tomorrow on Saturday Eastern Time, right? So I'm going to go through the resistance level that we potentially could get there ahead of the FOMC meeting on the 27th and 28th, and we could see how we could risk mitigate from there. Okay, so stay tuned, stick around, let's make some money. Alright, so moving on to the technical analysis for Ethereum ticker ETH, I'm recording stuff like 9:53 a.m. on Eastern Time. Current trade like the $2,073 level, up about 0.65%. Let's take a look at the equity market real quick on SPY. Alright, so you can see that we rebounded from the previous sell-off that we've had because of the Janet Yellen affectation, right? And it seems like we're kind of hovering right now. It is forming some sort of a bullish signal right now because we are slowly crossing up. So I think SPY could further leap up a little bit more, but obviously with respect to the chip shortage news that we heard on a macro perspective, that could subsequently hinder it. But we have to watch how true that is, right? And what are the counter mitigation that corporations are going to plan on be doing to sustain the supply going forward, which is the critical thing, and ultimately how it's going to be reflecting the top line revenue and the earnings that the company is going to be able to, project in comparisons to Wall Street estimate going forward, right? And also for NASDAQ, I would say comparable to it. In terms of dynamics, we are slowly crossing upward as well. So we'll see how that goes, but it seems like we are forming some sort of a bullish type of trends, despite the sell-off we had in a couple of days ago. All right, so you can see that also on top of the fact that NEO is, red today because of the negative news that we heard from the chip shortage. So is Tesla, but I think the Tesla is a little bit more adjusted because of the earnings call on Monday. So I think people are definitely bullish on the outcome of the earnings call, and that's why it's kind of normalized, right? People are not really scared too much because they know that the Q2 delivery was already beat the Wall Street expectations, and this is just more of a confirmatory type of affectation around the chip shortage. So that's why we're not really doing much. We kind of trade on a sideways fashion, but with anything negative, we might go down to the 625 in a short-term perspective, right? So the next one is obviously going back to this key topic is Ethereum. So congratulations to all of us that actually bought the dip, and I really appreciate you guys for listening in. I actually bought 2 Ethereum myself at the $1,750 level, and we are trending more of a bullish signal, obviously, with these mega green candles because of the B-Word Summit, because of the other positive media application we've had so far, right? Obviously percolate above the 2,000, which is the first level. Let me reframe that. We break above, obviously, the 1,800, which is the first level, 1,850, 2, right? 3, the 1900, and then the 1960, which is the level identified so far, right? And then there's 2000, and then the 2050, right? So how many resistance level we break so far? So it's like basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And we broke 6. So we broke through 6 resistance levels now, which is a really, really bullish signal, obviously, with the news that we've heard, right? So with respect to the affectation that we will be experiencing on the weekend and the FOMC meeting, right, we might see more of a normalization because for us to actually break through the $2,050 level, the next level will be 2,150, right? So if we do not get there, or we don't even get to 2,100, we will have a high propensity of going back down to the 2,050 first, which is basically where we are, and potentially even get down to the 2,000 because of the weekend affectation, right? If we have a really negative FOMC meeting on the 27th, 28th, we don't know the timing of the meeting yet. We know that based on the schedule that the Fed has released, we know that it's on 27, 28. But with respect to the confirmatory momentum on when is the transcript or when is the media get picked up on that respective meeting, we don't know, right? But we know that those are the two time frames that we have to be watching out for. And based on historical trends, consecutive has always been negative, right? It's always the Fed talks about inflationary pressure, talks about quantitative tightening, tapering, and whenever we listen to those like key words, if you may, people just start running away. The U.S. dollar start appreciating, then people start holding off their cash, because when the dollar is appreciating, why would you want to invest in anything else? You want to just hold it because your dollar is appreciating, right? That's just a matter of fact, right? So something to be watching out for. But these are the levels I would be basically playing at, right? The 2050, 2000, 1960, 1900. And I don't think we'll actually get below the 1850 or the 1750 because we are crossed up despite the RSI is kind of leaning more of an oversold, but we are kind of neutral right now because of net cancels out effect. So hopefully this is helpful, and this is how we're going to be risk mitigating going forward. Alright, just to recap on the numbers in the technical analysis, again, the 2050 is more of a resistance level that we've identified so far. We are above the level right now at 2072. So it's either we leap up all the way to 2150 or we come back down to 2050 or potentially even go down to 2000 because of the weekend safe haven effect, right? So something to be watching out for. The FOMC meeting is definitely a wild card, but based on historical trends, we know that it's historically been negative, right? Whenever we talk about inflation, whenever we talk about, quantitative tightening, cutting off the monetary circulations in the market, it drives both sell-off on the crypto and the equity side, right? So something to watch out for, and the level of resistance we potentially get to will be the 1950, 1900 possibly even, right? So these are the frames that will risk mitigate going forward and stay within the pattern, stay within the frame, think logically, and you will not lose money from there, right? Despite the volatility that we're seeing, right? So respect corporate adoption, 9,800, 4.8 times your money if you buy at the $2,050 level. Alright, so that's it for today. Respect my technical analysis on Ethereum ticket ETH. Hopefully this is helpful in terms of how I triangulate both the equity side, the news, the macro dynamics, and all of that into an execution of a framework for you guys. Hopefully the methodology makes sense. I know it's like speaking a new language, and it takes some time for you to obviously understand the rationale and the flows of how we're thinking, right? But hopefully this is helpful. But anyways, have a great rest of the Friday. Have a great rest of the day and the weekend coming up. I know it's like probably weekend for some of the folks that are listening right now because we're talking in an international perspective, right? But really appreciate you guys for your support and your kindness. I really love, you guys. You guys are really just amazing on supporting me every single day. But stay tuned for the next one. Take care.